Welcome to creating a memorable brand, such an important part of growing your business. Some would say it's the absolute foundation. But as we're discovering in the growth experience, there's a few essential foundations, but brand is definitely one of them because it's how you communicate with people. And my great wish for you is to be a brand leader as well as a business leader. And branding, if we try to summarize it, it's really about how you connect with people. And, back in 2000, we were told there were 9 touch points before somebody buys. It's like these days, it's like something like 50. Actually, I must look up the exact number they reckon. But, people have to see us up, many, many, many times before they maybe think about buying our product. So a lot of our work as business leaders is on how we connect with people. Now, that's the technicality, but the good news is it's really much more fun to do it this way. So instead of trying to persuade people or convince them they need something in their life, is what if we just really authentically and genuinely connected with them? And that's what branding is all about. So branding starts happening way before you even try to sell something to someone. So if you get that, it will really help you on this journey. I've designed a bunch of questions today to help you for 2 reasons. One, to support you to create some really great connection-based content in your newsletters. And secondly, which is the overall, which is to support you build a quality brand. And so that when you do go and employ experts, so if you need expertise in logo design or web development or any of the hundreds of components of marketing, that you employ people that really get what you're doing. So these questions will help you. The bottom line is about showing up, being yourself. When people know you, and particularly when they know what you stand for, or even more stand up for, this is key. So it's really just like being raw and honest often around, and those examples of ads that I sent you last week, I know some of them might have been from big companies we don't particularly want to engage with, but you've got to admire their work. And you don't need big budgets, which is one of the links showed you that. You've got to show people all the time, not just how you can help them, but how you know people who can help them if you can't help them. Yeah. So being that resource for people, they're going to want to follow you as an expert because you're well connected. So, all the ways that you can add value to people's lives with information, as well as products and services. Then when you do that really, really well, then they might buy, which is what turns a beautiful, authentic offering into a business. Before we jump into the questions, as we're about to do, I do remind you to have a pen and paper handy to answer the question immediately rather than focusing on the question. You'll always have these slides to look back, so you'll always go back. You'll be able to go back and write the question down later, but don't waste time writing the question down now because it just takes you off center. You want to get that beautiful first intuitive blast when I ask the question and what answer you get. And because you've done this exercise before, you might even want to have those answers there, look at them, expand upon them. This is not something you do once, as I mentioned the other day. This is something you do repeatedly and you get deeper and deeper and deeper, which is exquisite. I wanted to share this quote from Jonah Sachs. Your brand is a story unfolding across all customer touch points. What that means is where you stand in your brand today is going to be different to how you stand and communicate in December, which will be different how you stand and communicate in March and the following year and the next 5 years. It is normal and natural for a brand to develop. Do not try and get this right on day one. Just turn up exactly where you are on the journey, and then take people on the journey with you. There's many people who I follow who I just love seeing where they've come from and where they're going and how they've changed or not changed. So just be where you are today. Your brand is a story unfolding across all customer touch points. Jonah Sachs wrote a book called Winning the Story Wars, and he put this argument that's become really commonplace in branding now, which is that brands that tell values-driven stories through the right channels will revolutionize marketing. And this is exactly what's happened out there in the business world. And what that means by right, in inverted commas, the way I interpret that is that the right channels for you. So, you'll hear me talk about being in the right room. There's no use talking to a group of economic graduates if you're wanting to talk about healing, if you know what I mean, just to use a silly example. But, you want to be in the right room, talking to the right people on the right channels. And I love the way Sachs says that people who tell stories with their brand, that they become humanity's greatest hope for the future. Well, that certainly appealed to me, of course, because you know what I stand for. So, and I think it's true. I think he's spot on. So let's dive into the questions. I'm going to assume you have your notes handy. And what I'm going to suggest you do is I'm just going to move through the questions quite quickly, but I'll allow a space in between for you to hit pause. So just have your one hand on the pause button, and then when you have finished writing as much as you want to on that question, then you can just hit the space bar and move to the next question. But you don't want to be in a situation where I'm rushing ahead. So I'll allow, 10 to 15 seconds in between each question so you can hit pause. So have a lot of fun, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, question 1. What do you want your customers to feel? Pause. Question 2. What do your customers currently feel? Not what you want them to feel, but what do they already feel? Pause. Question 3. What do you stand for? What do you stand for? And maybe you could make that, what do you stand up for? Question 4. Describe what you do, just without trying to be anything other than practical. Just literally, I make. Nothing magnetic, just a really simple description. Pause. Question 5. What do you do differently? Pause. Question 6. What makes you different? Could be you personally, could be your brand. Pause. Question 7. What are your customers interested in? Like hobbies, what do they do on the weekend? What do they think about? What do they care about? What matters, what doesn't matter? What are your customers interested in? Pause. Question 8. What do your customers want to know more about? You don't have to be the one that knows it, but you could find the resources for them. But what do they want to know more about? That they might follow you because you share this information with them. Pause. Question 9. What expertise are they looking for in their lives? Expertise. This is different from what they want to know in the last question. What expertise? And again, not just from you. Pause. Question 10. What really bugs them about the world? There might be something they actually really hate or really love. And really love. What annoys them? So yeah, what bugs them about this whole world? It's a big place. But they're connected to it all. So what is it they're bugged about? It's going to really help you know what they care about. Pause. Question 11. How can you help your customers feel transformed and empowered? What is that big transformation? It's going to feel like a big win to them. And only you can help them do this. It's something quite specific. Might be more than one thing. Pause. Question 12. What benefit do your customers get from following you and talking about you? They get something from that. They get some kind of kudos or a feeling, sense of satisfaction, or they get to be an expert. They get to have knowledge. But they're getting it from you. And that's why they're talking about you. So what benefit do they get from following you and talking about you? How are their lives changed? Pause. Question 13. What's a little quirky about you? And if quirky is not the right word, just what's kind of interesting? You speak another language. You like a certain dance class. You have a certain amount of kids or grandkids, or you live in a certain part of the world. Just maybe there's something really quite quirky. Pause. Question 14 brings us to the end of this first part of the exercise, and it's where I want you to name 3 things that people are unlikely to know about you. So it's kind of a follow-on from the last question, but I want you to just list at least 3 things. Your nationality, previous job, where you can put your tongue on your nose. I can't. Name 3 things about you that people are unlikely to know about you. Pause. Okay, so you finished those. This is the second part of the exercise now, and this can be a little bit challenging. I want you to take all the time in the world for this. This is why I'm recording this for you. I want you to go back, and I'm just going to describe this, and then I'm going to leave you to do it, okay? So I'll just finish up this recording in a moment. So I want you to go back and scan your answers, and I want to see what words jump out at you. And then I want you to circle or underline them, or if you've got a highlighter, it doesn't matter how, just go along and just sort of tune into each word and then just see what jumps out, okay? So that's the first thing. Once you've done that, I want you to then look at the words that you've highlighted, however you've highlighted them, and see if you can start to find some themes. So how this works is you might see a word like, pray, and then love, and you might think, oh, these are, heart words. So you might put the word heart, and then every other heart word that comes, I want you to put it under that column. You might only come up with 1, but most people would come up with somewhere between 3 and 5. And if you end up with too many, that's okay at this first stage. It's like a brainstorming. If you end up with sort of 10, that's okay. But then I want you to look at those 10 and try to pull them down. Just find some common themes that are coming through when you talk about you and your customers. This is really important. What we're doing now is we're distilling, funneling this down to really get to the heart. And then, and only then, can you ask the question that a lot of people ask first, but really you should ask at the end. Oh, sorry, I should just mention that, I think I mentioned that, yeah, just see how far you can summarize them down. Then you ask, who is your brand for and who is your brand not for? And see if you can get that crystal clear clarity. And I'm very, very keen to know your 3 words. I'm going to be asking you to share that in the next group. And just keep in mind that when you go on this journey, you'll see these other paths, and that's okay. And I think map them, let them happen, let them unfold. Some of these paths might seem like a really small tributary that's going in a direction you don't want to be right now, but that could end up being the most important. So let's not document it. Let's get it down and record this, because you're going to be going back. I'll be inviting you to read this. Gosh, I try and read my stuff at least once a month. And it's amazing how sometimes you go back and you'll find something and you think, oh, I haven't been highlighting that. And that could simply be because it wasn't as important as it is now. So that's okay. It's all, timing is everything, as I'm always saying to you. So I gave you 1 exercise this week, and it was partly because I wanted you to actually revisit this a few times, because this is not something to be rushed. And then I want you to ask yourself every single week of your business, what is the one thing you can do this week to increase connection with your current clients and your future clients? And just me doing this recording is a great way for me to be connecting with you. I'm wanting to reinforce this learning. I want to give you something that can be an experience you have on your own. I want this to be something you can access as many times as you like. And this will also be something that maybe people in the future will access. So this is a really important way I can support you this week. So what can you do? And that could be sending out that newsletter. It could be doing some kind of video or social post. It's really up to you. It could be making a phone call to someone. But connect with your clients on a weekly basis. Maybe just a check-in. How you going? Just letting you know where I'm at with the project. If you've got any questions and you want to have a chat, here's how you can book a meeting with me. Sometimes I write to people, and it's very genuine when I do this, but it actually turns out to be a good technique as well. But I'll see something. Let's say I see something about hiring a tent. Yeah, I'm going to send that to Rebecca if I think it's of interest. Yeah, if I see something about candles, I'm going to send it to Tracy. And if I see something about skincare manufacturing, I'm going to send it to you, Narelle. So what can you do by just reaching out to people and going, oh, hi. It's maybe someone you haven't spoken to for months, and you might say, oh, hi, I just saw this and made me think of you. Thought you may already know about it, but thought you might like to have a look. And that's just a beautiful way to connect with people. So that's the end of the branding exercise. It will probably take you about an hour. Really give it the time. But if you don't have a whole hour, just do it in bits and bobs. Do it however suits you, all in good timing. And you know how to reach me. I hope this has been a fantastic experience. If you've got any questions, reach out.